This is the Horse Radio Network. This is episode 161 of the Dressage Radio Show. Steffen and Tina, planning and Connemaras. Please support our sponsors as they make this show possible. Equestrian Collections at equestriancollections.com and Draper Equine Therapies at drapertherapies.com.
This is Reese Koffler-Stanfield from Georgetown, Kentucky.
And this is Philip Parks from Fergus, Ontario. And you're listening to the Dressage Radio Show.
Philip, welcome back this week. Thanks for coming again.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be back on. This is great. So tell me what's new.
Well, I had my horse show last weekend.
That's right. How'd it go?
My mare was good. I was really pleased. It was a local show. Not a lot of people there. We hear later in the show, Cindy Ishoy talks about goals and where to go, and that's sort of where I am with this mare. I wanted to take her to our first recognized show and do third level. She got a qualifying score. And she was very good. We didn't attack anyone in the warm-up, and she was well behaved. And I had some young horses we took as well, and it worked out to be a really fun weekend. So I was really happy about that.
Now, do you find it tough to ride and coach at the same show? How did you get that done?
I do. I think some people are better at it than others. We're lucky enough here in Lexington that we have a wide variety of shows. So the beginning of the year, I was really focused on my two young riders and getting them to a show. But later in the summer, it's a little hotter. We broke 100 today, but I took some young ones. So I try to balance it. I feel when I have a bunch to coach, I try to just coach, and then when I take a horse myself, I really want to spend some time with that horse or the couple horses that I take, and that worked really well. Good.
So did you get what was the score?
I was a 62 and change, but I'll take it. It was her first third level test 3, and that's a tough test. And again, my expectation was just to go and have her behave herself and handle the warm up. She has trouble with that. That's a big thing. So I've been working here at the farm. When the arena is busy, I get on that mare and walk her in there. So again, It's all about the journey, I think, and we all have to remember
overcoming every horse's challenge, right? Sometimes it's not the test that's a challenge. Sometimes it's getting to the show or riding in the warm up or whatever.
Yeah, and I think that's what we all have to remember. We'll talk to the Olympic team later in the show, but they've kind of overcome those challenges. But when you have younger horses and horses coming up, this particular mare's 7, and I bought her in December. So again, we're working out all those things, and we can't take her to a selection trial yet. Hopefully in 5 years or so.
Yeah, that sounds good. So, coming up on today's show, we've got Steffen Peters and Tina Konyot from the U.S. team, of course. And then we've got a trainer tip by Canadian rider Cindy Ishoy and Canadian adult amateur Lee Taylor, who gives us a really interesting interview later on the show. I guess before that, we've got a lot of news coming up.
We do, and this week has been a big weekend news because all the teams have been announced pretty much. The main group. So the Great Britain team. This is a really interesting team, don't you think?
Well, I think in all the teams we're seeing a lot of new riders and new horses. Not necessarily people that we've seen in the past. So for Great Britain, we've got Laurel Bechtolsheimer. She's been doing really well the last couple of years on a horse named Mistral Horace. Along with her, we've got Charlotte Dujardin, who is riding an awesome horse and is breaking records almost at every show with Vallegro. And her trainer, Carl Hester, is also on the team, riding Utopia.
Yeah, this is going to be a really good team. You know, they've got the home court advantage, like we say, being in London, and but this is a great team. We saw Laura Beschleheimer here at the WEG, and I really was impressed by her. She's a super quality rider, and Carl Hester has been to several Olympics. And their individual is Richard Davidson, and he also has been to multiple Olympics. So this is going to be an interesting team to kind of keep an eye out on.
I think everybody's going to want to watch these horses from Great Britain. They've got an awesome chance to take the gold this year. So we'll have to wait and see. It's exciting.
Absolutely, and on the heels are the Netherlands. It was announced that Anki is going to ride Salinero
For the third time?
Yeah, for the third time. She certainly has been able to keep pulling it out of the hat. And Edward Gall on Undercover. This is a pretty new horse for Edward, but as we all know, he has the experience. And I think that is going to be really incredible to watch. And Adeline Corneliusson and Parseval, I think that's going to be another fabulous horse to watch.
That's a strong combination. And Parseval has just been doing so well over the past couple of years, and so they've got a little bit of a combination between, experienced horses and newcomers. So that's it's going to be exciting time for the Dutch team.
So in other news, Hungary actually withdrew their bid for the 2018 World Equestrian Games, and there are 4 nations remaining. So that was an interesting development in the WEG news. Certainly, going through a games here at the horse park and being a huge part, it is a enormous undertaking.
Well, it takes a lot of money and a lot of support, that's for sure. So we'll see what happens with that 2018 bid.
For all those Totalist fans out there, Matthias Rath has mononucleosis, which I have never had mono, but I have had students that have, and it is a dangerous disease, and he's not going to be able to ride at Aachen.
Well, I hope he's going to be ready for the Olympics. That can be a long recovery from mono, that's for sure.
I think it can be.
But I'm sure he'll get it done, and we'd love to see Totalis and just all the top horses going head to head, at the games.
Agreed. I think I feel for Matthias, poor guy. He has a lot of pressure on him as it is, and to be not feeling well. And the report said that his dad is going to ride the horse, so hopefully they'll keep him in top form during his break. I think he has to have 2 weeks no riding, so that's going to be a hard thing for him to keep going.
Huh.
Yeah, for sure. So this week, again, we are so excited to have Steffen Peters and Tina Konyot talking about what's happening in training camp and what's going on before they head to London next week. So we're excited to have them and really, really happy that they're here. And we have Cindy Ishoy, who is one of your mentors and an amazing.
I've worked with her for a long time, and everything that she's ever taught me, I use almost on a daily basis. So hopefully, she can bring us some pearl of wisdom for our trainer tip today.
And then for the final, we have a adult amateur spotlight. One of your students and your farrier is going to give us. She's
my farrier, but not my student. But
okay.
Yeah, I know her real well. She's good friends with me, and she has, as an amateur, trained her own horse to compete at the PSG I1 level in against the bigwigs in the CDIs. So she's got an interesting story, anyways, and it's going to be great to hear.
I think all our listeners will enjoy it, and I certainly look forward to hearing from her. And it should be fun. And we like the adult amateur spotlights for all our listeners and even ourselves, because I think as trainers, sometimes we forget how difficult it is to compete at that level and just compete in general and keep your horse fit.
Having a different job. I mean, we're lucky. We don't really have another job to do, and our priority is always on the horses and the riders and the training, and that's not always the case. So it's great to hear from a different perspective.
So we are so thrilled to have Steffen Peters and Tina Konyot right after this commercial break.
Hi, Glenn the Geek here, and I'm here with Kat from Draper Therapies, and they have something exciting they need your help with. Tell us about it, Kat.
Well, hey, everybody. Thanks for listening in. Today, we'd love to be able to share with you an opportunity that helps small businesses here in the United States, and this actually happens to apply to us today. So Draper has applied for a small business grant, which is through Chase and Living Social, and it gives us the opportunity to have almost $250,000 available to us. So it's a ton of money, which would really not only help take Draper to the next level, but it would also really bring health and wellness available to everybody, which is kind of what our core statement already is anyways, but this would help just bring it to a whole new slew of people, which is really amazing. We're hoping that the grant can keep manufacturing and jobs here in America because Draper is all based here in the U.S., which is really exciting as well. To help us out, if you want to just go ahead and log on to Facebook, you can find Draper Therapies just by typing in Draper Therapies on Facebook, or you can just type in facebook.com/Draper Therapies, and all the details are on our website, but it's really easy. You just log into missionsmallbusiness.com, and in there you just log on, and it's with your Facebook page, and all you do is you type in Draper Therapies again, and you click vote, and you're done. Really super easy, and it could help us tremendously with what we're trying to go after.
Well, that's terrific. I think it's a great idea. Everybody, just find them on Facebook at Draper Therapies or go to drapertherapies.com and you'll find all the information there. We love it when you help support our sponsors and our guests, and you have in the past, and we hope you will this time. Thank you, Kat, and good luck.
Thank you.
Tina and Steffen, thank you so much for joining us today on the Dressage Radio Show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well,
Thanks
we
for having
are.
us on.
Yeah, oh, you're welcome. We are all excited to hear how things are going at your individual training camps.
Yes, exactly. It's starting as soon as we get to England, and horses are going well. Ravel has arrived here in Gladstone as well, and so far I couldn't ask for more. Everybody's happy, and in fact tonight we have a little team gathering here. I'm sorry that Tina's not there, but we just fired up the barbecue, and I'm going to cook for everyone here in about 15, 20 minutes.
Oh, it's a pity I'm not there. I would love to have a cook-off. That would be fun. So they're partying without me. Boy, I'm here all by myself.
Don't you worry. As soon as you get here, Tina, we'll have a lot of expertise now in ribs and steaks, and we're ready to cook for you too when you get here.
We always have a good time together. There's no question about that. We have a little bit of experience about being together, and it's an awful lot of fun and an awful lot of support of each other. So I look forward to that. I choose to come home after the trials for just a couple of weeks, and I look forward to getting back to Gladstone with my buddies, my teammates there.
That's good. Both of you competed at the World Equestrian Games. How have you developed your horses since then in preparation for the Olympics?
It's been an exciting year for Ravel and Legolas. If I said early on this year at the Masters, Ravel was already in top form. We did a couple more shows in California, including Ravel's highest score in the Grand Prix Special at an 81%. And there's really not more I could ask from this horse than his younger brother came along. And he did really well on the West Coast too. And we decided to take it real easy with Ravel in April and May. He had a little break, and now he's back to competition mode and competition fitness. And he's still making his little brother a little jealous, but they're working pretty good together.
And Tina, the same question about from WEG to now. How have you developed Collect 05?
Well, I think there's thank God there is a big difference from the WEG and now as far as the development of Collecto and I, the combination of the two of us, we've improved immensely as far as our competition status. And we had a little bit of a tough beginning to the season. It was not such an easy beginning for us. I had some personal problems with losing my greatest love of my life, one of my dogs, and I had a tough time dealing with that, and so I think it affected my riding with my own horse. And at the Masters, which I had great hopes of competing as well as the year before that, he ended up tying up there, and which was quite a unusual situation. It had never happened before. So we didn't have an easy beginning of the year, and then we slowly started to pick it up after I had to put my animal to sleep, and March and April became stronger and stronger, and I cleared my head from the personal trauma I had, and he feels very, very good. You know, all of our horses are in top condition. They're in top training form as far as their lessons. It's just a matter of keeping them at the highest level of their fitness level, to be at the highest level and health level. So that's been a very important factor for Collecto, and I've paid more attention to that. He's a big horse, big, dark horse that the temperature can affect him quite a bit, and he always tends to carry more weight than he should, and that's probably obviously it's my fault. So I've paid very close attention to that and made a great effort to keep him fit. So going into the selection trials, I had 3 holes less on my girth, so I could show Coach Ann Gribbins that I really made that effort. And that was just not about working harder, training my lessons harder. It was just strictly about the fitness level. And where we are in Canada, we have such beautiful hills and beautiful sandy ground, grass-covered sandy ground that we're able to ride on. And I train him a very specific way up and down these hills that keeps him strong and healthy, and his fitness level is increased immensely. And that's my greatest difference that I have. And also, I've learned a little bit more to focus how important it is, and I thank Ann Gribbins for that also. I mean, she's made a difference in me personally on my focus level of my riding, and I'm very grateful for that. So that affects my horse.
And Steffen, how do you stay focused too? I think that's a question that all riders ask their coaches and themselves. Kind of how have you been able to? You're so amazing at doing that. So how have you been able to do that?
I've been very lucky to have Legolas and stay sharp in the show arena. And I think that is no matter how much you focus outside the ring, it really depends on your performance in the arena. And even if you practice tests at home, you've got to do the shows. And even if it's a smaller CDI, you've got to get in front of the judges. But it's always the most important way of showing that you still have the level of performance that you need for the Olympic Games. And then I have to say, our sports psychologist, Dr. Jenny, she's been very, very helpful. I had a few phone conversations with her, and then met here in Gladstone with her a few times. And just that little bit extra mental toughness is always very important. Let's face it, there's a huge expectation at the Olympic Games, and she always has some very good little tips to even improve on that. So, the bottom line is we're ready.
I can't agree more with Stefan. It's he couldn't say it any better. And he adds something there that I wish I was able to do. And he hit the nail on the head when he said to be able to be in that arena, that's the only thing that I can say I lack as far as, I can focus, and mentally I'm a very balanced person, and I don't have nerve issues or anything like that. But what Stefan said is about, being out there and doing it, even if it's, getting into the CDIs, getting out there and doing it. I wish I had more horses to ride, and that's what sometimes the Europeans have a little bit advantage over us, is that they have multiple horses that they're able to go and ride a Grand Prix, so you're not wearing out your own best horse. And that's an important factor. I so agree with Stefan on that. I wish I was able to do that. So I think I'm going to have to go out there and ride my pogo stick or something and go.
But the good thing, we do have another optional show in Hickstead. It's a CDN.
Oh, that's great. Yeah,
and
we're all doing that.
Anne suggested this show for all of us. We have the option of riding just the Grand Prix. We could do the Grand Prix and the Grand Prix Special. It's a couple hours away from the training camp in England, and I think it's just a real nice way of putting the final polish on everything.
Absolutely.
So the credit to Coach Ann Gribbins, who plans everything perfectly. So this all starts next week,
We're
and
all psyched
honestly
about that. That's
can't wait to get over there.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Just going a different way with the questions, do you guys have any superstitions or charms that you use going into a show? Maybe Steffen, you want to answer first?
Yeah, I honestly think superstition is a good thing because superstition is a good thing because you do obviously associate something that you pick with something positive. I mean, you don't just pick an item or a routine or whatever you pick. There's usually nothing negative about it. So I really believe it's a positive thing. And on a competition day, I have, a certain amount of bridges that are generously sponsored by GPA. And there's one that I wear on the first day and the second day, and I have one that I use on the final day. And I usually like that. I mean, Tiger Woods has a red shirt for his final day of the tournament, and you know what? I believe in that.
I do the same.
It works for me. Yep. And I used to be pretty crazy about that with my tailcoat, but then GPA made me a generous offer to wear their tailcoat, so I was a bit concerned, but it worked out. The new tailcoat is working out beautifully, but the bridges are still the same.
I think that our superstitions are also just our personal feelings, and either you believe in superstitious acts or you don't, but we like to keep things the same, no question about that. And I have to laugh at that, what Steffen said, but I agree. I mean, I do have my breeches. I have my breeches I just packed, and I have my breeches laid out for each event. It's in the same ones that I wear all the time. It's very interesting. And the specific tailcoat I haven't had any generous offers to wear a tailcoat. I've had generous offers to wear other apparel, but I don't think I could ride in them, actually.
Well, I think you guys could sell a little bit of that. I think there could be something about that, for
but
sure.
You don't want to change anything. We all have our routines and our horses. I mean, Collector travels. I mean, I wanted to make sure he had his teddy bear with him. I mean, that's a little bit superstitious and in routine, that you don't want to change anything, not just for ourselves, but for our animals. They have a certain, certain routine for them, and they have to make a change. I mean, both rider, horse have to make a change when you travel in that competition level, and venues change and stables change, but we want to keep them as happy and as comfortable in their environment. So I got the okay that his big stuffed teddy bear can go with him, so that's a good thing.
That's great. Actually, I forgot one more item. Ravel was very generous in winning a watch at the World Cup in 2009, and that particular watch I always wear during competition, and hoping that that's a good omen as well.
I think the watch that's a great one. So, Steffen, you first, but what is your highlight movement on both of your boys?
That's probably the canter work with Ravel. Ravel has a phenomenal canter. The pirouettes, the flying changes, the half passes have been phenomenal for so many years. It's trot half passes, and I still feel like in the last few months he's made some improvements in the Piaffe Passage work, and that is also Legolas' strength. I mean, here at the championships, he received some 9, here and there 10 for the Piaffe. Combine that with a very relaxed walk, made him come up with an 80% after the trot work, and the canter work still needs a little bit more relaxation, a bit more throughness, a little bit more reliability in the flying changes, but already very excited with the movements that I just mentioned.
I would have to say his canter tour. I mean, it's so beautiful, his canter tour. That's the presence of a stallion and in the canter that he has. It's absolutely fantastic. I can rack up so many points in my canter, and I've been also improving an enormous amount in my trot work. I've always had a little bit of a funny, loose hind leg that sometimes is too expressive and can go everywhere at the same time, and we've made a great effort to keep that package and keep it contained, so the trot work is becoming very, very steadier in the connection, and I'm getting some beautiful, beautiful trot half passes, which always was a bit of a struggle for me. The passage can be extravagant, and then it can be too extravagant. So we've been working on that also. But I think that the highlight for Collecto is that his presence in his cantor work is so very, very special. And I think just standing there for Collecto, everybody seems to ooh and ah when they see him, because he does have the little extra stallion presence to him.
Maybe one more question for you guys, a non-horsey question, but what other sport maybe would you like to watch while you're at the Olympics, if you could?
I've always liked track and field, and after the last Olympics, I had a chance to talk to Michael Phelps a little bit at the reception of the White House, and send him some pictures of the president, and he actually responded. So, obviously, it would be very interesting to see him watching a couple more medals and making it an Olympic record for him, making it the first athlete with the amount of medals. And that would be exciting to see. And the neat thing is there are tickets available for the athletes. We just have to go into the Olympic Village and find out on which day certain tickets are available. So to answer your question, it'll be track and field and swimming.
I would have to go the same direction. I've always been a fan of the track and field. I absolutely am a huge fan of that. Swimming is also something very special. Diving and the gymnastics. And gymnastics may be even to the track and field, actually. It would be probably on an even scale, the gymnastics.
Well, I hope you get to see some of that, guys.
We intend to. We're going to have a great time, an exciting time for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, Steffen and Tina, we wish you all the best of luck, and we're going to be cheering you on, everyone that listens to the shows and ourselves. And I'm sorry, I enjoyed your time here when you were here during the WEG, and I wish you as much luck, and have a great time.
We thank you. We'll do the best we possibly can.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Extra luck, and we certainly appreciate the support from you guys and all the listeners. It's honestly much appreciated.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good luck.
Stefan, look forward to seeing you soon, Stefan. And thank you all so very much. Tina. All the best, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Well, Philip, that was really fun to have Tina and Steffen.
Great interview, huh?
Yes, and we are so looking forward to how they do, and they will stay in touch with us and let us know how the games are going and how they enjoyed the track and field.
Awesome. Well, next we got our adult amateur spotlight, and today we have on Lee Taylor, who is a Canadian rider who rides a Connemara horse and has recently competed in the Prix St. George I-1 level in a couple of CDI events. So it's going to be really great to hear about her experience as an amateur competing against the big names in Canadian dressage anyways. Hi, Lee. Welcome to Dressage Radio Show.
Thank you, Philip.
Can you please tell us about your horse, Podrick?
My horse, Podrick. Yep, he is a purebred Connemara pony. He stands about 15-2 hands. He is bright dun, so the dun in the Connemara is like a buckskin. So he's a golden color with a black mane and tail and full black points up to pretty much up his whole legs. So trust me, we do not blend at the dressage shows.
And tell us about how you got Podrick and what you've done with him and everything else about him.
Well, Podrick came to me through a stroke of really good luck. I was between horses, and we had just bought a larger farm, and I didn't have a budget to go out and purchase a show-type horse. Some clients of mine had imported him from the United States about 5 years prior to them deciding to give him to me, but they had some unfortunate incidents with him, and he had basically been standing in a field for 5 years. So he didn't have a good reputation. He was reputed to be quite difficult to ride, and I don't know, for some reason they thought perhaps Lee would like him. So anyway, I brought him home, and I started him up, and he was almost unbroke. I don't know who sold him to, a novice adult rider, but anyway, he had a lot of natural ability, and we kind of got things figured out, and it's been a wild 6 years that I've had him. He was meant to be an event horse, but he's really slow because he has a lovely uphill, beautiful cadenced canter, which is perfect for dressage, but kind of crummy if you have to go out on cross. But I did event him, but realized quite quickly that his aptitude was really for dressage and his enjoyment was dressage. And here we are 6 years later in the Prix St. George ring. So, tell
us a little bit about what it's like competing as an amateur in the CDI shows and what that experience is brought to you.
I think if someone had told me like 2 years ago or 3 years ago that that's what I'd be doing, I would have been like totally frozen with fear. But it's been an evolution, right? I started a little bit in the amateur classes that are offered here, the advanced amateur classes, the Prix St. George, and we did quite well there. So it was like I don't want to keep riding there and doing well. So because you need to push on, right? So I took him in the open ring, and we were doing, credibly. We wouldn't often win, but I decided last year, 2011, to declare him for the Pan Am team. And one of the criteria was that you had to go to a CDI. So I was like, okay, there was only a couple in Ontario that year, or one in Quebec and one in Ontario. So I decided to go to the one in Quebec, and it was fairly intimidating because when it's a Pan Am year, the class size is like triple. There was like 35 horses in the class, and all the team riders and all the important people, and it was a little bit stressful. It was and I'm riding a horse that just glares out there because he's and shorter than everyone else, and he's not the right color, and I'm absolutely no one. But anyway, it's taken a good year since then. Like we didn't do all that spectacularly there because you lose some percentage points when you move from a national to a CDI, and but we got some additional help when I came home from that first CDI that I did. I thought, okay, we're really not there. I'm not going to do any more until he's in a better. We're both in a we're more confirmed. So I took some training from my trainer Jill Stedman, who had brought me along to that level. Said you've got to go and get some better help from someone more experienced at the levels, because Jill's primary focus was competitive riders sort of first to third level, and we were starting to push the envelope of what she was able to start making improvements with. So she sent me to Andrea Bresse of Dunraven Dressage, and she made a few, kind of major changes, and we saw some pretty remarkable results immediately at the national shows. I went out and started, getting the 65s and the 67s that you want to see, which is, pretty amazing for an off-breed horse with kind of an off-breed rider on top of it. I didn't get any points for being there.
Yeah. And Lee, tell us, you work full-time as a farrier. How do you fit competing at CDIs into your daily life? How do you do it?
Well, I get up really early. It is a long day shoeing, particularly in the summertime. Shoeing has a bit of a seasonal, cycle to it. I'm certainly much busier in the summer than in the wintertime. So in the winter, I'm able to, I usually board Padraig somewhere, and I'm able to fit it into the day somewhere. But in the summertime, I get up at 5:30 here, and because Padraig comes home for the summer, he lives here at our farm. And he lives outside 24/7, just for anyone that thinks you can't compete on a horse at a high level and do that. He lives out in the field with his buddies. And, I pull him in from the field I'm on by about 6:30. And I ride before I go to work because I'm too tired when I get home. I don't have enough courage for that after a day of shoeing, especially in 32 degrees like today. So that's how I do it. And because I work for myself and my clients are horse people, they understand, if I plan around going to a horse show, and then they're all very supportive, and it's really fun. So I just got back from CDI in Blainville, Quebec, and it was a really fun experience. So what I'm noticing this year is that I'm starting to get some acknowledgement and respect from some of the other riders. They're starting to say really nice things about me and my horse, and that's really gratifying. We're still not exactly winning out there, but, our scores were up 4 or 5% over where they were at the CDIs last year. So as long as we keep moving along, I'm happy.
Well, what are the future plans for you and Padraig?
Well, just due to I was hoping to go to Devon this year and take him, but I think there's some circumstances going on with our business situation here and some family health issues that I probably won't go this year. But I'm working really hard on the Grand Prix movements, and I'm hoping that that's the next step for us. So we're struggling a bit with the Piaffe, but Padraig's changes are excellent. He's got his ones, and he's got a very nice passage. So if we can get the Piaffe nailed down a little bit, then I'm hoping next year we're at least doing I2 and looking towards Grand Prix.
It's awesome.
Wow. And Lee, what would you say your biggest challenge is, and how do you overcome it?
My biggest challenge?
Mm-hmm.
Well, because I am an amateur and I do only have the one horse to ride. And I guess that's a double-edged thing. I can really focus on him, but sometimes, you get off and you've just kind of grasped a concept and you'd maybe like to go and try it out again. And it's like, don't have anything else to try it out on here. So, it's the whole experience, the inexperienced thing too with the levels. Like before Padraig, I had never had a horse go past second level. So it's double whammy of he's new, I'm new, and how the heck do we do this? So, but we're figuring it out. So.
Yeah, I mean, I know you, and we see you all the time, and obviously the scores keep getting better, the horse keeps getting better. It's just a wonderful story.
He's an amazing horse, and I can't say enough about him as an individual and the breed as a whole. I mean, they're not a very common breed. There's not a lot of them, but they're amazing athletes. I mean, as event horses particularly, jumpers, they're just remarkable individuals. So. Well,
and you went out and got another one, didn't you?
I did. I went down to Ohio and picked myself up one. It's a half-brother to one that Lendon Gray has that's doing Pre-St. George. So I'm hoping he'll follow in the footsteps.
High hopes.
I'm just getting him started today, but we thought we'd maybe try Canter today, but I guess it was too hot or something. So.
And so do you think there's a big advantage to for a smaller person to be riding a smaller horse? I think it's good to see that not everybody needs to ride a 17-2 hand monster.
You don't, and there's all those myths about dressage that you have to have a warm blood and it has to be 18 hands, and there are challenges inherent with riding something as obviously different as Padraig is, but I mean I can ride him. I'm a small person myself. I'm 5'3", and I fit him. I can actually groom his back, things I couldn't do with my 17-hand horse, and I think it's. I don't know, we make a better package. I get that comment a lot from the judges that we're a very nice pair. We're well matched. I don't look like a peanut on an elephant. And it's really, I don't think there should be a stigma for size. It does making some of the movements look as good a little bit different. And I noticed that the more the judges see Padraig, the more they begin to see more clearly the quality of his movements. But I mean, it's a little bit shocking, obviously, if we come in the ring after something that moves like Totalis. It's just not the same picture, So, but I noticed this the more they see him, and I had a chance to do a little bit of work with the team leader and stuff last year, and he said the same thing. He said you have to get this horse in front of the judges. They're not used to seeing horses this small at this level, and everything looks a little bit different. It takes a little bit longer to ride the shoulder in lines, the half pass lines, the diagonal and the extended trot appears to go on forever. So it does. It just takes a little bit longer that he has to be that correct. So I think I have to be a little bit more accurate, and certainly because he's different, a little bit better than just to get the same score, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I think the quality training comes through no matter what the size of the horse, and yeah, maybe it takes a second look for a judge to see that. So that's it's been a very interesting conversation, Lee. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Lee.
I think everybody is
pleasure.
aspiring to ride in the CDIs anyways, and for an amateur who has a full-time job and this and that, it's just it's awesome to see. So I'm so glad you came on today.
Oh, well, thank you. I hope that I get that a lot from the people at the shows, that, you know, a lot of people will come up and talk to me just because he's different and we appear approachable. And they're like, you know, you've made me believe that I can go home and ride and do this again. And, you know,
yeah, inspiring.
I think people get discouraged because they think they need the, you know, imported 18-hand professionally trained horse. And, you know, if you work at it and you get some good coaching, anyone can do it.
We'll be right back with our training tip after this commercial break.
Hi, Glenn Geek here, and I am with Debbie from Equestrian Collections with the Equestrian Collections Product of the Week. And we're going medical this week, aren't we?
Yes, we are. I wanted to feature the Vetricin Wound and Infection Hydrogel. All of this Vetricin stuff is really good. It's amazing. And not only do I know that it works, but all of my Facebook friends go nuts over this stuff. And the reason I'm featuring the hydrogel this week is because it has a different thing going for it that some other ones of these don't. It's expensive, but it's worth it. This hydrogel stuff, you spray it on like it was liquid, and it comes out like a liquid. But when it comes out, it's a very light gel, so that when you put it in the wound, it actually sticks to the wound. It doesn't, you know, like drip down. So if you have a wound that's up underneath or one that's hard to get to, you can use this and you can get a really good covering of the wound with the hydrogel. I have not had anyone who I have heard that has used this that hasn't come back and said, oh my goodness, this is the best thing ever. You can use this on all your furry friends and feathered friends. You can use it on horses, dogs, cats, birds. It's just amazing, and it's clean stuff. I would highly recommend it. Give it a try.
And I know the one nice thing about the Vetricin is that you can use it in areas that are flexible, your joints and ankles and knees and things like that, and it provides that extra barrier even for flies and things as well, too.
Yeah, you know what? I had exactly that. I had a little cut on my mare's on the inside of her hock, and every time she would walk, she would pull that thing open. And I got this stuff and used it, and within just a week, it was healed. I can't say enough about it. I would definitely try it. Keep it in your tack room. Keep it in your first aid kit when you're on the road as well.
Just go to equestriancollections.com and search for Hydrogel, Hydrogel, and you'll find the Vetricin Wound and Infection Hydrogel, and you can pick up a bottle of it there.
Today for our trainer tip, we have with us Cindy Ishoy. She's a 4-time Olympian and a team bronze medal winner for Canada. Okay. Hi, Cindy. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Oh, you're welcome.
So you're here for the training tip. What is it?
Okay. Well, this is, because I teach all across North America and in Europe as well. One of the things I see right now is the lack of system. And a lack of long-term and short-term goals. And so I think my training tip would be that you have to, as a rider, you have to have a daily goal. You have to have a weekly, monthly, every 3 months, 6 months, and a yearly goal. And then the long-term goal would be every 4 years, like for an Olympics, World Championships. The thing I'm saying is that people don't realize how much work it is, and they think that, I'll just buy an expensive horse or a fancy horse and then go on and ride in the Olympics. And, really, that is not the formula for excellence. And when you're going to the Olympics or the World Championships or the young riders at any level, the goal should be excellence, not just getting on a team. So what I'd like to see is the dogmatic, systematic gymnastic training. And that, in my opinion, from what I've seen over the last 3 or 4 years, is somewhat lacking. And if you ask riders what their daily goal is, they really don't know. And a lot of the coaches are not giving it to them either. Of course, there are some excellent coaches, obviously, and riders that are this way oriented. But it's very, very important to understand that it's systematic gymnastic training. You don't just one day say, well, today we're going to do some piaffe, or, now it's shoulder in day. It is just, all of those exercises are really just suppling, strengthening exercises. And they should be used as such So that would be my training tip, that it takes a team to make top international rider-horse combinations. It takes a great trainer. It takes a great horse. It takes a great disciplined rider that wants to learn. It takes a great farrier. It takes a great vet. Nobody makes it to the Olympics by accident. It has to be a plan, and a long-term plan at that. And you need that team, because when there are setbacks, and there are setbacks both for rider and horse, because both of them are athletes, you need your team to be there to support you and to help you through the tough times. And you need those goals and to reestablish goals on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis. So I think basically that's my tip, to understand it's a long-term goal. It's about good riding, good horsemanship, good nutrition. I mean, it's a whole thing, and that's definitely lacking at this time.
So can you give us maybe an example of a daily plan versus a monthly plan versus maybe a 3-month plan? I think it's the short term that people have the biggest problem with. Everybody has huge goals, but it's hard to have kind of small goals that you can achieve.
That's very true. And one of the things that dressage is it's systematic gymnastic training. So, I mean, for example, at the lower levels, a daily goal would be to do excellent 10-meter circles, excellent 20-meter circles, excellent 15-meter circles, to ride your corners properly, to work on your position. A big thing I've seen, particularly at the young rider level, is that the riders aren't working on their position. So if you could, on a daily basis, conquer the weak part of your position, at least for 50 minutes of your ride, that's a daily goal. If you can do a 20-meter circle in rhythm with the correct bend, balancing on the outside rein, that's an excellent daily goal. And that should be an excellent daily goal from the basic level straight through to Grand Prix. And then from there you go to 15-meter circles, 10-meter circles. Out of excellent 10-meter circles comes shoulder in. Out of shoulder in, 10-meter circles, comes travers. Then the half pass. All of them just advancing in the suppling exercise. So depending on what level you're schooling at, your goal is to be as good as you can be every single day. That's a daily goal. I mean, I see.
Cindy,
yeah.
Oh, no, I was just going to ask, as a coach, do you sit down and have this conversation with your students? Is that something an amateur or a junior rider should sort of require from their coach, is, hey, let's sit down and develop this plan? Is it a written plan, or how do you work that with your own students? With my students, it's been a long time actually since I've had some young riders in. More of my students are more mature riders, and so we verbalize it. But if I had a young rider coming in that said, in 2 years, I want to ride young riders, and the horse that could do it, and they were already on their way. If they came to me with a 4-year-old, I'd say it's not possible to do it well. And so, actually, I don't even think it's possible, because I think they have to be 7 to compete at St. George. But I would sit down and I've just come to realize how important it is. I didn't used to do this because I assumed that people knew this. I no longer assume anything as a coach, right? Mm-hmm. So now I would sit down and say, this is what I want you to accomplish by the end of the week, by the end of the month, in 3 months, in 6 months, in a year. And it would be logical. Understanding that you don't train on a totally uphill scale, right? You train forward, you plateau, you backslide, you plateau, you train forward. I mean, that's just part of training, whether it's human or horse. Nobody just trains perfectly right up to the peak. Sadly, that doesn't happen. And it's actually not possible physically for it to happen, because, you end up with little injuries and mental setbacks as well. So as a coach, you have to work with all of that. But I would now sit down and do a game plan, and I'd like them to keep a calendar and to keep, I'd like to know what they think their weaknesses are, because sometimes they think their weaknesses are completely different to what you see their weaknesses as. I'd like them to tell me what they think their horse's weaknesses and strengths are, because, again, they might be viewing it in a completely different level or place than you are. So, yes, you should. Yes, the answer is yes. You should have that conversation with your coach.
Now, do you think
vet.
it's important to be keeping a diary? Do a lot of your students keep a diary, or do you find that a little bit detracting? I mean, sometimes I think that you have to write it down and talk about it, and then other times I think that maybe you should just kind of do it, right? I see
Well, I
with some
definitely.
students a lot of discussion is great, but too much is overwhelming and overpowering.
Absolutely, and absolutely, you're right. But I am like when I was getting ready for Olympics and World Championships, I would have a diary. But if you looked at my diaries, it would go same as yesterday, same as yesterday, same as yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, so that you're not overwhelming yourself, you're not overwhelming your horse, and then because it's interesting to see check nutrition, did blood work, you know, horse is not putting on the muscle the way it should. Talk to your vet, talk to a nutritionist. You know, I'm not really happy with the way his feet are. Talk to your farrier. I'm not an expert at that. I need input on that. No coach is an expert on everything. That's why we need a team. So I would like people to keep a diary. And sometimes, like, I've had a couple of people keep a diary, and I've looked at it really quickly, and I go, you know, we're seeing this completely differently.
Yeah.
And then you can discuss it, and that helps them overcome a slump.
Right.
And
right.
so that for that
so
purpose,
you're not butting heads too much.
Well, it's not even butting heads; it's misunderstanding.
Right.
Because a lot of people don't understand the physiological part of training as well, right? And so they're like they have these massive goals, and I'm like, you know, I couldn't run a 5K if I can't run half a K, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I think that it's really important to keep that in perspective. Or, you know what? How do you expect your horse to be fit enough to do this when you're not fit enough? You're huffing and puffing. So let's address that. Do you have somebody else that can help you with that? If a rider's really crooked, I will send them to a sports medicine therapist to get them as even. How can you expect a horse to be even if you're completely crooked?
Yeah.
I mean, we all do the best we can. None of us are completely straight. But there are people that, through injuries or overdevelopment, like tennis players and so on, that come to riding later, and they're very crooked because obviously you use your dominant side, right? So I will send them to people that will help them to even out as much as possible. And you know, the knowledge that I have now has come over many, many years of listening, watching, training with the best trainers in the world, being to sports medicine therapists and learning from them, learning from vets. I also think that a lot of the up-and-coming riders aren't taking advantage of being there when their vets are there or being, you know, listening to sports medicine therapists and that. I think that so many people can teach you so much, and that only makes the whole process better.
Wonderful. Well, I thank you so much for your tips today.
So, Philip, I keep a training diary, and I really do try to work with my students on goals and a daily goal and a weekly goal. And if we're trying to get to championships, how do you do it? Do you keep a diary?
I'm not great about doing a diary or, you know, kind of sitting down to write things out. I should be way better at it, but, you know, I think I do a lot of just, you know, before I get on a horse or before I do a lesson, I do always a mental preparation as a, you know, kind of a checklist. Okay, when did I see this person last? When did I ride this horse last? What did we get done? What do I want to do today? What would be, you know, a goal for the next week? Or, you know, so I'm always having conversations with myself, with my riders. Some of my riders keep a written journal. I think it's really handy, and I should be better about it myself to follow through with some of these things. But it gets so busy, and by the end of the day, just kind of mentally exhausted to get it done. But I'm glad to hear that you're doing it, because I think it's helpful.
Well, I think it is. I mean, I don't do it on a daily basis, but I do it when I go to clinics, or, you know, I have a particular ride where I have that light bulb moment, like, oh yeah, she was great today, or oh my goodness, I got my young horse to do this. So I do keep it that way. I don't necessarily keep one every day. And I respect everybody that can. I think that's really important. And, all my students that are in full training and I see them every day, I really do encourage that. And I tell them to do it right when they leave the barn. You know, have it in your car.
Yeah, it's fresh.
Yeah, take 2 or 3 minutes on what we worked on that day and what exercise and why we did it. I think that's really important to do that.
Yeah, well, maybe I'll pick it up. So what do we got
Yeah.
going next week?
Well, this week here in Kentucky, and I think all throughout the country, it's very, very hot. We broke 100 degrees today, and we can be hot in the summer, but it's brutal. So I think that a lot of us this week are dealing with that, and I don't know about anyone else, but I was up at 5 this morning. I wanted to get my main group of horses done. I think it's so hot, and I have my vet. We always talk about kind of heat prevention and how we can be good horsemen in the heat. We're lucky right now. No horses are showing for the next couple weeks, so we can go a little bit easy and we're have them all under the fans, and we leave the horses that don't have shade. We leave them in the barn till I'll turn out here when the sun's going down. So I think that's important that we all watch that as horsemen and give them the appropriate electrolytes and that type of thing. So I hope everyone else is dealing with it and it's not comfortable.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're pretty hot here too. I'm not sure if it's as hot as you guys are in Kentucky, but we got to do the same thing: get up real early, or do some lessons later on, and try and do everything we can to keep the horses comfortable and that they can perform at their peak, right? And not ask them to do their job when it's a little bit too hot or anything. Yeah. So, you have any shows coming up, or what's?
Well, we're pretty quiet. We have the Young Rider Championships here in a couple weeks. So I think what Cindy was talking about, I'm going to really talk about with my student tomorrow. I, as an instructor, have an idea for her, the Young Riders, and won't be next week or in 3 weeks, actually. And we're very lucky because it's 10 minutes from my barn. But, we're going to work on what Cindy talked about. What's our daily goal and kind of what do we need to do to get to the championships. So we'll keep you informed on how we're doing.
Yeah, let us know how it's going. Yeah.
Yeah. My rider doesn't know she's on the radio, but no, that'll be fun. So that's kind of what we have. That's a big one for us. How about you guys?
Well, actually, I'm on a little bit of a vacation right now. We have a long weekend here in Canada for Canada Day on Monday. So, in the heat, I just decided we would just take a couple days off and do a little bit of relaxing. We got no shows coming up in the immediate future, but, I think it's kind of halfway. I think of it almost as halfway through summer. We started showing early, and so we need a bit of a break, So.
Oh, super jealous. I wish we were that Travis and I were up with you guys, but no, I hope you have a great weekend, and it's the 4th of July here on Wednesday, so I hope everyone gets out their USA stuff for you guys, your Canada stuff, and we want to get out our foam fingers for sure. So, but I really want to give a shout out to a new listener who happens to be my very, very hardworking assistant, Rachel Sawinski. Rachel is she says she's my assistant extraordinaire, and she is. And I wanted to give her a shout out because she's now listening every week. And feel free to send us some constructive criticism and tell us how we're doing. And my email is reese@horseradionetwork.com. And Philip, next week we have Adrian Lyle and Jan Ebling on, and that should be really fun.
That's great. I'm looking forward to that interview because we need to get the other half of the team, right? So see how they're
exactly
doing.
Right. You can find our show notes and links to today's guests on their website at dressageradio.com. You can like us on Facebook. Just search for Dressage Radio Show. Follow us on Twitter at Horse Radio. And my website, you can find me at maplecrestfarmky.com. And my email is reese@horseradionetwork.com. Philip, where can we find you?
My website is philipparksequestrian.com. And thanks to our sponsors, Equestrian Collections and Draper Horse Therapies.
And don't forget to check out all the other shows on the horseradionetwork.com. And I hope everyone has a great 4th of July weekend. And Philip, I hope you and Canada enjoy Canada Day.
It's going to be great. Thanks very much, Reese.